What happens when a senator's wife is caught drunk behind the wheel, and then, in the middle of her court hearing, whips out her phone to call her husband for help? For 45-year-old Diana Crawford, it's about to become painfully clear. Some calls can't save you, some titles don't offer immunity, and sometimes husbands choose principle over protection. But what makes this case unforgettable isn't just the DUI. It's what she struck, who she left hurt, and the jaw-dropping moment her husband's voice booms across the courtroom when Judge Caprio puts him on speakerphone. Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from, because the next few minutes will prove that political influence doesn't buy you a free pass. It's a Wednesday afternoon in Providence Municipal Court, and Judge Frank Caprio is reviewing a case that has already captivated the public. Diana Crawford, 45, wife of Rhode Island State Senator Michael Crawford, stands accused of driving under the influence, causing property damage, leaving the scene and failing to render aid. The incident happened 9 days ago at 9:47 p.m. in a busy Providence shopping center parking lot. Security cameras captured every detail, painting a stark, undeniable picture. Diana was behind the wheel of her Mercedes SUV when she struck a parked 2015 Honda Accord. The impact crushed the rear quarter panel, smashed the bumper, and dented the trunk, triggering the car's alarm and deploying its rear collision sensors. The Honda belonged to Robert Martinez, a 67-year-old Vietnam veteran, who was inside the nearby pharmacy picking up medication for his wife, who suffers from multiple sclerosis and has limited mobility. Security footage shows Diana staggering out her Mercedes, inspecting the damage briefly, and then walking back to her car and driving off. No note, no call to the police, no check on whether anyone was hurt. A witness recorded her license plate, and police tracked her home 40 minutes later. At 10:32 p.m., her blood alcohol content registered 0.16, nearly double the legal limit. Investigators estimate her BAC at the time of the crash was likely even higher. When officers arrived at her residence to arrest her, Diana's first words were, "Do you know who my husband is?" Her husband, Senator Michael Crawford, is in his third term representing Rhode Island's Eastern District, a respected lawmaker known for criminal justice reform and a reputation for bridging the partisan divide. Now, 9 days later, Diana enters Judge Caprio's courtroom. She's dressed to impress, radiating confidence, or perhaps entitlement, believing this is a minor misunderstanding that money and connections can resolve. Her attorney, Thomas Whitmore, from one of Providence's most politically entrenched law firms, walks beside her, briefcase in hand, projecting the unshakable belief that influence can make problems disappear. Judge Caprio watches Diana's entrance with the same careful scrutiny he gives every defendant. But Diana doesn't move like someone facing serious criminal charges. She glides through the courtroom as if she's arriving at a charity luncheon, expecting applause for her attendance. The bailiff calls the case. Judge Caprio reviews the charges with calm precision, every word etched into the public record. Driving under the influence causing property damage, leaving the scene of an accident, and failure to render aid to determine if anyone was injured. Diana's attorney immediately requests a sidebar, citing sensitive matters, due to Mrs. Crawford standing in the community. Judge Caprio's reply is sharp, unmistakable. Mr. Whitmore, this is a public courtroom. All proceedings remain on the record. If your client's conduct can't withstand public scrutiny, that's a problem with the conduct. Whitmore pivots, trying another angle. He acknowledges a lapse in judgment, stressing Diana's clean record, the family's civic contributions, and the senator's legislative achievements benefiting countless constituents. Judge Caprio cuts him off, unwavering. Mr. Whitmore, your client's husband's legislative record is not evidence in this case. We are here to examine what she did, not who she's married to. If you're not subscribed, hit that button, because what happens next will show exactly what unfolds when someone tries to hide behind political clout. Judge Caprio turns to Diana. Do you understand the charges against you? She nods, but her expression screams formality, not remorse. Yes, Your Honor, though I think some of this has been exaggerated. Exaggerated? Judge Caprio lifts the police report. Mrs. Crawford, you struck a parked vehicle with a blood alcohol content of 0.14 and left the scene without providing any information. These are facts, not exaggerations. Diana shifts uncomfortable. The damage wasn't that serious, and I thought the parking lot was private property, so I didn't realize I had to report it. Caprio's expression hardens. Mrs. Crawford, hit-and-run laws apply to all property, public or private, and whether the damage is serious isn't up to the person who caused it. He signals the clerk to play the security footage. On the courtroom monitor, Diana's Mercedes slams into Robert Martinez's Honda. The alarm blares. Diana steps out, surveys the damage for nearly 30 seconds, then climbs back into her car and drives away. The evidence is damning, unambiguous. Do you recognize what's on this video? Caprio asks. Yes, but I was in shock. I wasn't thinking clearly. The footage shows you standing there for 30 seconds examining the damage. Caprio counters. 30 seconds is long enough to leave a note, long enough to call the police, long enough to do the right thing. Diana is silent. Next, Judge Caprio reviews the victim impact statement from Robert Martinez. He describes returning to his car to find substantial damage. No note, no contact information. His $1,000 insurance deductible is a heavy burden for him and his wife, who relies on a Honda to attend medical appointments because her wheelchair-accessible van is in the shop. The damage isn't just metal and paint. It's a real, significant hardship for an elderly couple already grappling with progressive disability. Judge Caprio leans forward, eyes locked on Diana. Have you tried contacting Mr. Martinez? To apologize? To offer to cover the damages? Her attorney jumps in immediately. Legal counsel advised against direct contact, he says. Caprio's voice sharpens. Legal strategy doesn't erase moral responsibility, Mr. Whitmore. Your client fled the scene, and 9 days later, she hasn't taken a single step to address the harm she caused. Diana speaks up, her voice tinged with defensiveness. Your Honor, I understand I made a mistake. My family is prepared to pay for the damages. We just want to resolve this quietly and move forward. Quietly, Judge Caprio repeats, each syllable deliberate. Mrs. Crawford, you want to resolve this quietly because your husband is a state senator. But the Martinez family can't resolve their hardship quietly. They live with the consequences of your choices every day, publicly. Diana's jaw tightens. For the first time, she looks genuinely frustrated, not just inconvenienced. Caprio calls Officer Jennifer Santos to stand. She was first on the scene and later arrested Diana. She recounts finding Diana at her home, the unmistakable smell of alcohol, and Diana's initial refusal to submit to a breathalyzer until she was warned that refusal would automatically suspend her license. And her demeanor during the arrest? Caprio asks. Dismissive, Your Honor. Officer Santos replies. She kept asking if we knew who her husband was. She said this was a waste of police resources and that we should focus on real crimes. Caprio signals to play the body cam audio. The courtroom fills with Diana's slurred, defiant voice. Do you know who my husband is? He's a state senator. You're making a huge mistake. This will be taken care of. The silence that follows is suffocating. Caprio fixes her with a piercing gaze. Mrs. Crawford, that audio was recorded at 10:32 p.m., 45 minutes after you struck Mr. Martinez's car and drove away. Instead of taking responsibility, you try to leverage your husband's position against law enforcement. Diana fumbles. I was stressed. I said things I didn't mean. Caprio interrupts coldly. No, Mrs. Crawford. You said exactly what you meant. You expected your husband's position to make your criminal behavior disappear. And then she makes a fatal error. From her purse, Diana pulls out her cell phone. Right there, in open court, she begins dialing. Caprio's voice cuts through the room like steel. Mrs. Crawford, what are you doing? I'm calling my husband. He can explain this better than I can, she replies, tone insistent. The courtroom collectively freezes. Did she really just try to call her husband in the middle of her hearing? Mrs. Crawford, put that phone away immediately. Caprio commands. She holds it to her ear. He's the one who deals with legal matters. He'll know what to say. Caprio's voice turns ice cold. Mrs. Crawford, you are standing in my courtroom, facing criminal charges, and you just attempted to call your husband for help in the middle of proceedings. That's contempt of court. Diana finally lowers her phone, but the damage is done. She just proved in front of everyone that she believed her husband's position could fix anything, even active court proceedings. Judge Caprio makes a decision that will echo through Rhode Island legal history. Bailiff, retrieve Mrs. Crawford's phone. Mrs. Crawford, you called your husband. I'm going to give you what you wanted. We're going to speak to Senator Crawford right now. Diana's face goes pale. This isn't what she expected. Within minutes, the clerk connects to Senator Crawford's office. Judge Caprio puts the call on speakerphone so the entire courtroom can hear. Senator Crawford, this is Judge Frank Caprio in Providence Municipal Court. Your wife is here for a DUI hearing, and she just attempted to call you during the proceedings. I'm putting you on speaker so we can address this publicly. There's a pause. Then Senator Crawford's voice fills the room. Steady, controlled, yet heavy with emotion. Your Honor, I apologize for my wife's behavior. She had no right to call me during court proceedings. Diana tries to interrupt, but Judge Caprio raises his hand. The senator continues. I've known about the charges since her arrest. I've advised her to take full responsibility, apologize to Mr. Martinez, and accept whatever consequences the court deems appropriate. Diana's eyes widen. This isn't the rescue she imagined. Senator Crawford. Judge Caprio asks, are you requesting leniency for your wife because of your position? The answer hits like a hammer. No, Your Honor. Treat her exactly as you would any other defendant. Her actions were wrong. Being married to a state senator does not excuse drunk driving, property damage, or leaving an elderly veteran to deal with the consequences alone. Diana whispers frantically, Michael, what are you doing? He hears her, calm but firm. Diana, I told you to take responsibility. You chose not to listen. I've spent my career advocating criminal justice reform, accountability, and equal application of the law. I cannot uphold those principles publicly and ask for exemptions privately. Judge Caprio asks, Senator, anything else to add? Yes, Your Honor. Robert Martinez is a Vietnam War veteran. My father also served in Vietnam. For my wife to hit Mr. Martinez's car and leave him to deal with the aftermath alone is deeply shameful. He served this country and deserves respect, not to be treated like a nobody. Whatever sentence you determine, my wife must face it fully. Her last name grants no immunity. The call ends. Diana stands at the defendant's table, utterly exposed. Her expected rescue has become public accountability. Judge Caprio's voice is calm, unwavering. Mrs. Crawford, your husband just told me to treat you like any other defendant. That's exactly what we will do. He reviews the evidence methodically. Security footage proving she struck Mr. Martinez's vehicle. Body cam audio proving she threatened police with her husband's position. Her 0.14 BC proving significant intoxication. And her phone call in court proving she still believed political connections could erase consequences. The sentence is comprehensive. DUI. $1,000 fine, mandatory alcohol education, 1 year license suspension. Leaving the scene, $500 fine. 80 hours community service at a veteran support organization. Failure to render aid and contempt for attempting to call her husband. $750 in fines. Restitution to Robert Martinez. $5,300. Vehicle repairs plus deductible. Apology letters to Mr. Martinez and Officer Santos, reviewed by the court. 80 hours of community service assisting elderly veterans, directly addressing the type of support Mr. Martinez needed. Total financial impact, $7,550 plus attorney fees. Total time, 80 hours plus mandatory alcohol education, 1 year license suspension, and a permanent record of contempt for attempting to leverage her husband in court. Whitmore tries to object, calling it excessive. Caprio silences him with a glance. Mr. Whitmore, your client drove drunk, caused major property damage, fled, threatened police officers, and attempted to call her husband mid-hearing. Every consequence she faces is proportional to her choices. As Diana is processed out, she passes Robert Martinez. Sitting quietly in the gallery, she doesn't acknowledge him, doesn't apologize. She walks past as if he's invisible. Martinez stands, addressing the judge. Your Honor, may I speak? Of course, Caprio replies. I'm 67 years old. I served in Vietnam. I never asked for special treatment, but I also didn't expect to be treated like I didn't matter. Mrs. Crawford hit my car and drove away like I was nobody. You just showed me that in your courtroom, I am somebody. Thank you. Caprio nods, visibly moved. Mr. Martinez, you have always been somebody. This court just made sure Mrs. Crawford learned that. Within hours, news of the hearing spreads across Rhode Island. Audio Diana calling her husband in court dominates local news. Senator Crawford's statement, demanding full accountability, trends widely on social media. 2 days later, Senator Crawford holds a press conference. Calm, measured, he announces that he and Diana are separating. My wife's behavior was unacceptable, he says. Her refusal to take responsibility is unacceptable. I've spent my career fighting for accountability in our justice system. I cannot maintain that integrity while staying married to someone who believes political connections can erase criminal behavior. Within 6 months, the separation becomes a divorce. Surprisingly to some, Senator Crawford's approval ratings rise. Voters admire his integrity, his willingness to prioritize principle over personal comfort. 3 weeks after her sentencing, Diana begins her community service, driving elderly veterans to medical appointments. Week 1, she is silent, resentful. Week 5, she begins listening to their stories. By week 12, she is genuinely engaged, asking about their service, learning about the sacrifices they made. One veteran, Thomas Kim, mentions serving in Vietnam alongside a man named Martinez. Diana's heart skips. Robert Martinez? She asks. It is. They served together. Diana breaks down. For the first time, she truly understands the gravity of her actions. She didn't just hit a car. She disrespected a man who served his country, who sacrificed for people like her, and who deserved far better. She completes her 80 hours of service, writes heartfelt apology letters accepted by the court, and finishes her alcohol education program. 6 months after sentencing, she requests a face-to-face meeting with Robert Martinez at a coffee shop. I hit your car and drove away like you didn't matter, she begins. I threatened police officers with my husband's position. I even tried calling him in court to fix everything. I was wrong. I'm truly sorry. Robert listens, then says something that changes her forever. Mrs. Crawford, I forgive you, but understand this. I didn't serve my country, so people like you could claim special privileges. I serve so that everyone is equal under the law. Judge Caprio reminded you of that. Don't forget again. 1 year after her sentencing, Diana has completed all requirements. Her license is reinstated. Her divorce is finalized. Her life looks completely different. She continues volunteering, not out of obligation, but out of respect and understanding. She has learned a lesson her political connections never taught her. Respect is not inherited through marriage. It is earned through conduct. Diana Crawford walked into court, believing her husband's position could save her. She called him mid-hearing, expecting rescue. Instead, she heard him tell the judge to treat her like any other defendant. That single phone call meant to shield her became the turning point of her life. That is justice. That is integrity. That is a legacy of Judge Frank Caprio. If you enjoyed this story, hit like, subscribe for more incredible courtroom moments, and drop a comment. Did Senator Crawford make the right choice by divorcing his wife? This isn't just a story about a DUI or a phone call. It's about accountability, equality under the law, and the power of doing the right thing, no matter who you are married to.